of years ago, I went to a TPRS conference in St. Louis, and I saw this demonstration of how this person starts their school year every single year. And not to be dramatic or anything, but it kind of changed everything about how I start the school year. So what was the demonstration? What did we do? How did I apply it to my own classroom? And how can you steal this idea for yourself? Want to find out? Keep watching. Hi, my name is Ashley, aka Señorita Spanish, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to click subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified of all new content I create for you in the future. Thanks so much for your support. So, talking about the first day of school specifically for your Spanish 1 or, your novice students, right? Ones who have no experience whatsoever with Spanish, or maybe who have learned a word here or there at summer camp or something like that, but basically, your newbies, your babies. What are you gonna do with them? So I don't know about you, but for me, the first day of school is usually really crazy. Because it's so weird, I just really wanna get a chance to get to know my students, and then we dig into the actual first day on the second day. But this is what I do on the very first day during that 20 minutes. I greet them at the door, and I use Martina Bex's character cards. I will link them for you in the description of this video below. It helps students know, like, hey, you have a spot to sit, and get rid of that anxiety for them, but it also saves me from having to make a seating chart before I actually know the students. Then after students are in their seats and I've just said hi and I've made sure everybody who is in the room is supposed to be in the room and not, supposed to be in science class or something else like that, always happens on the first day of school. I pass out the student information sheets. And to me, these are really important because they give me some more background information on the students that, you can't quite get from the school system or isn't saved in the school system, and it helps me get to know them on a more personal level, depending on what they're comfortable with sharing. After they finish the student information sheet, I give them the student name tags, and these are super important. I have them write their first name really big and then their last name kind of small, because I still want to start pairing first name, last name with each student. But I don't need to know their last name while I'm at the front of the classroom talking to them or while we're doing circling. So that last name on there is important for me just as I'm walking around the classroom and looking at them and looking at their names and starting to make those connections in my mind. But it's okay if it's this big and their first name is this big. So then the other side of the name tag has space for them to draw something so I can get to know them a little bit better. And with my Spanish 1 students, it's got the words on there in Spanish, but it also has them in English. So at this point in time, I just turn on my favorite mix of music, whether it's Pandora or Spotify or whatever, and I just kind of float around and I pass out the colors and they sit and they relax and they chat and they just draw and they get to know the people who are sitting around them. Maybe they already knew them from middle school, maybe they're starting to make some new connections in the classroom, totally depends. Right? But it just gives me a little bit of time to float. At the end of class, we just clean everything up. They put their name tags in their folders, and I remind them that they need them tomorrow because we're gonna keep using them. If the whole class is finished, we might play some simple name games like the Como Te Llamas game. I described how to play that game in my first day back from winter break video. I will link it for you here so you can check that out if you want. Okay, now it's time for the real first day of school. If my school didn't do this weird 20-minute, 15-minute class period on the first day of school, I would just set a timer on the screen, and that's how long that they have to work on their name tags before we move into this. Totally up to how your school runs the first day or first 2 days of school. So if you have a normal length class period the first day of school, they just have a set amount of time to work on their name tags, and then you're gonna move on to this chunk. If you're like me and your school does a really weird schedule the first day of school, okay, now here is where we start the real first day of school. So again, I meet them at the door. I pass out their character cards that I mentioned from Martina Bex because I still don't know them well enough to make a seating chart, but I still want them to feel comfortable enough to feel like they have a spot to sit without that anxiety of oh, do I sit by this person? Do I not sit by this person? I don't know anybody in this class. What am I gonna do? Gives them a chance to be comfortable and secure. So then students take out their name tags from the day before and clear everything else off the top of their desks. So the only thing out on their desks is their little name tag tent. And this is to help me, start connecting names, faces, but also because the back side of it told me something about what they were into, right? It tells me something about their interests, which is going to be important for later. Projected on the screen behind me is the slide with vocabulary supports. And this is where we start getting into what is called circling with balls. And this technique is from Slavic. I will link to him in the description of this video so you can go check out his YouTube channel. He's got lots of demos that I find really helpful. So here's the setup of that activity. Before class starts, you have gone around school or dug through your house, or maybe you went down to the gym teacher and you asked for a variety of sports equipment and you put it all in a bag or you put it all in a box. And I think I wound up with a football, baseball, a soccer ball, a golf ball, tennis ball, volleyball, just so you have a couple of different options to choose from. And you're gonna put them all into a big bag, like a laundry bag, or you're gonna put them all into a box where the students can't see what's inside. So they cannot see them until you're gonna reach in and pull them out. Okay, so you've got your slide projected behind you and you've got your mystery box or bag of sports equipment, and you're going to reach into the bag and you're gonna use the slide behind you, and you're gonna point it very, very slowly. You're going to point to the Spanish, point to the English, and say, este es una pelota de... Reach into your bag, feel the suspense, feel it, feel that suspense. You're going to reach out and you're going to reveal the thing that was in your hand. It was una pelota de tenis. And you're going to wait for their reactions. Because some of them are going to be like totally taken aback by the fact that they understood that that's a tennis ball and that the sound of the word is different but enough that they understood, like that kind of thing. Some of them are just going to stare at you. Some of them are going to kind of look around, and usually so give them a little bit of time to react. And then usually what I do is I say, if you understood what I said, go, ooh. And then I wait, right, for them to go, oh. And then I usually repeat the sentence pointing again, right? Este es una pelota de tenis. And then I wait for them to go, whoa, right? Coaching that reaction and showing that comprehension, and I'm watching their faces to see, do you understand? So from there I do some circling, right? Some yes or no questions, some either or questions. ¿Es este una pelota de fútbol americano? No. ¿Es este una pelota de baseball? Right? Again, super slowly, using the words on the screen, gradually introducing more balls. ¿Es este una pelota de tenis? No. Este es una pelota de... And then whatever it is, right? Because so many of the sports words are cognates, they're going to be able to answer yes and no questions just by looking at the thing in front of you, using those supports that are on the screen, and thinking, right? So you just kind of feed them these options, and you're asking them yes or no, either or, is this a soccer ball or a tennis ball? Is this a baseball or a tennis ball? Is this a volleyball or a, right? Either or, this or that. Is this this ball or that ball? It's really key that you're really watching your students and you're seeing, okay, are they following along? Are they understanding? Are they giving you that signal that, oh, you understood? Or are they giving you this, what the heck is going on face? If they're giving you that face because they don't understand, slow it down, go back, make sure you're pointing, right? Double check every now and then, say, hey, wait, what did I just say? It's okay for you to spot check in English because it's worth making sure they know what's going on, because you do not want somebody to be totally lost for the entire first day of class, okay? Once you have about 3 balls out, now you're going to start using some PQA, some personalized question and answers. So what you're going to do is you're going to use the name tags, and you're going to just say juega Ashley baseball? Sí o no, right? And juega is on the screen, so you're referring to that super slowly. So now we're bringing in some of the kids, and you're using the information on their name tags to help you. Start with third person, right? Class A, does this person play this sport? And some of the kids might know each other, right? So they might be able to say sí or no. You might hold up their name tag and be like, do they? Yes or no? And if that sport is on their name tag, they're going to be like, well, yeah, obviously. They said they like the sport. They probably do something with the sport, whatever. Once you've done a couple of the third person questions, pick somebody who has been really active, really responsive, really quick. And now you're going to ask them, ¿Juegas tu sport? And you're going to, again, really feed it to them. I don't care how comfortable you think they are. ¿Juegas tu whatever it is, or practicas tu whatever. So from there, you're just going to kind of let the conversation flow. We've done some third person, right? Does this person play this sport? Sí o no. Does this person play this sport? Sí o no. You can start doing some extra forms if you want, right? You can start saying, they play this sport, but this person doesn't play this sport. You can talk about yourself. Do I play that sport? No, I do not. Thank you. I am the furthest from athletic when it comes to, right, this sort of thing, or whatever, right? Whatever. So you're just going to let this conversation kind of build and flow, and you're going to make comparisons happen. You could start saying, hey, does this person play this sport well? And if they play the sport, the answer is yes. Obviously, they play it the best that anybody could ever play that sport. But it could also be like, hey, does this person play that sport well? And the answer is like, well, no, silly. They said they don't play the sport at all, so of course they don't play it well. And you're just gonna build this relationship, you're gonna build this conversation all through these topics of sports and the balls you're pulling out of this bag. A couple of things to keep in mind. Of course, if you wanted to, you could do this with just the information that's on their name tags. People refer to that as card talk. That's again from Ben Slavic. So you would just pull up the information that's on their name tags and you would talk about that instead of using the balls as your like driver of your conversation. The nice thing for me is that when you're using the balls and you have that support on the screen, you are driving the bus in terms of language. Sometimes you're gonna look at their cards and you're gonna be like, that is not a cognate, or I don't even know how to say that activity. I don't even know what they were trying to draw, you know? Sometimes that happens. So for me, the nice thing is when I am doing circling with balls and referring to sports over and over again, I know that the language is going to stay in bounds for them. I'm sheltering that vocabulary for them. However, it doesn't mean that I can't include things from the cards as I'm floating around and saying things. And then of course you can add in things like juega los videojuegos, right? And we can talk about which videojuegos they play. You can add words on your whiteboard. So you already, right, you have your supports projected, but maybe you want to add toca, right? Toca la flauta, toca el piano, whatever it is. And piano and flauta and those sorts of things are close enough cognates that they're gonna, well, you know, piano, they're gonna understand. And you can hold up their cards and make sure everybody see, right? Walk around, make sure everybody has seen it so that they know, okay, this is what we're talking about. All right, so now that you've kind of got the idea, we basically just do that until the end of class, right? They get super into it. So now let's talk about what do you do next? How do you follow up this activity after you've done circling with balls with your students? I usually like to follow this up with a reading activity that uses the same vocab and structures. So then the following day, we will have like some very short reading selections that are all using that juega, practica, toca, and I usually write those that day, like right after that class period, because sometimes the classroom discussion will go somewhere and I'm like, yes, we need to lean into that. So we usually would do some sort of reading that's just like a short, maybe 4, 5, 6 sentences that really relies on the vocabulary that we use during the circling with balls activity. And then the next day we just do any old reading activity with it. If you need some ideas for reading activities, I have a whole playlist on them. I will link that here for you to watch. But yeah, and usually students, when they come to class, they're like, oh my gosh, we just read paragraphs of Spanish, and they just feel like over the moon excited about what they've already accomplished. Have you ever done something like this on the first day of school? I would love to hear from you and know, what do you usually do on the first day of school? Comment below and let me know. The other thing is right after we finish these first few days, we'll usually jump into my cognates unit. I have information on that. I can link it for you. But if you would like to see a video on my cognates unit, why don't you just comment and let me know if you're curious about what do I do to introduce cognates and how to teach my students how to use them as a skill to support them throughout the rest of their language career. Comment and let me know, like, yes, I would like to see that, or like, nah, I'm good, thanks. All right, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, click subscribe, and ring that bell so that way you get notified of all new content I create for you in the future. See you in the next one.